Good morning, everyone. It says we are live. So, my name is Julie. I am the owner and the founder of Lady Faulty. If you are watching this, thank you and welcome. You are either watching this on my Facebook page or my YouTube channel, which are both called Lady Faulty. And we are here today as one of the Claire series. So, there will be 8 videos in total. That are all about each one of the different Claires. Some of them do go by different names. So if you have learned a name that's a little different than what I'm calling it, that's perfectly okay. But we're going to dive in here. If you forgot Monday's video, today's crystal to work with is labradorite. I just happen to have it sitting here on the desk, so I was like, oh, I'll give them a reminder that today is labradorite. So I'll have to try to remember to grab a piece before I go out the door. I'm gonna take just another little piece of sage off my bundle here and light it. So that will be going for us. Oh, some for you guys, some for me. Quick little Palo Santos. It's always good to be clearing energies. I don't think I have negative energies here in the house, but we bring them home with us sometimes too. So they attach to us. So, and I don't mean like evil ghosts that attach to us. I mean, we're out in the world, and for me, well, perfect example is at work we're putting in a new computer system, and the whole thing has been a complete nightmare. So I have been anxious and I have been stressed, and I didn't sleep the last couple of nights, and so it's just always good to clear that energy out. So today we are going to be talking about clairtangency. And again, if you know them by slightly different names, that's perfectly okay. So I tried to put in the events, because I make an event for each video. If it's known by other names, I've tried to kind of put some of those in there, but I'm sure there's other names in there that people have probably learned that I don't know. But anywho, today we're talking about clairtangency. And so this one I think is, well, they're all kind of tricky. But I think this one is really tricky. So I think there's people out there that have this that don't realize that this is what it is. So we'll go into a little bit of the meanings and stuff, and then I'll give some examples of what it may be that you're experiencing. And then, of course, I'll give you some herbs and crystals if you want to try to work with this Claire more. You will notice if you've watched the video so far that most of the herbs and the crystals are pretty much the same for all of the Claires. So, might be one or two here or there that are a little different, but for the most part, they're going to be the same. But I will list them on each video just in case somebody that hasn't watched some of the other videos. So clairtangency is clear touch. And it's, I think the word clear touch is kind of a little false advertisement because it's not very clear. It doesn't mean that like clairvoyancy is we can see with our mind's eye or with our physical eye, we can see spirits or ancestors or guides, whatever you choose to call them. Clairtangency does not mean they touch us. It doesn't mean we can touch them. So that's kind of the first thing, is when you say clear touch. Like the other things, like I have the clear scent, so a lot of times I will smell like a rose water, and I know that's my gram, so I can smell her perfume. Where clear touch doesn't mean I can touch her or she can touch me. So just want to clear that up. Um, I don't know of any Claire that says that you can physically touch um, a guide, a spirit, an ancestor. They're not in a solid form. They are in a different vibration than we are. Um, so, maybe um, if you're journeying or you're clairvoyant in the when you're in your mind's eye seeing things, guides, you may touch them that way. In your mind's eye, you may, be seeing you touching, if it's your gram, um, or whatnot, but not an actual like physical touch as far as I know. But if somebody knows different, please correct me. I'm always willing to learn new things. Actually, I'm always wanting to learn new things. So if somebody's got something different, or somebody's experienced that, that would be really neat to hear about as well. So certainly chime in there if you know something different than I do. Like I said, I am sharing as I am learning. So I have learned about the different clairs. I have read a book about the different clairs, but I am by no means an expert on them. I'm just sharing with you what I have learned. And as anything else in the world, especially nowadays, um, for every article that you can tell you yes for everything, you will find another article that will tell you no for everything. So if it doesn't resonate, then don't take it. If it does, then, hold on to it for a while. Um, but so clear touch. What exactly does that mean if it doesn't mean physical touching, right? So what that means is the same as all the other clairs. It's to receive a message, information, maybe a warning, things of that sort. They're not threats, by the way. Like I don't want to be like, oh, they told me to do something, or this was going to happen, kind of thing. No, your spirit guides and your ancestors, if something might be coming up that's going to happen to you, they might try to warn you. So, but this one is, like I said, it's tricky, and it's tricky for me to explain it to you, and try to make sure that I'm being um, as clear and as precise as I can without giving wrong information. So bear with me. um, so what this means is you would receive information when you touch an object, a person, or a place. So you're like, well, how does that work, right? Exactly. How does that work? It's tricky. Um, so um, the information is triggered. I'm losing track of my notes. The information is triggered by the touch. So if um, I don't necessarily think it's everyday objects that you're going to touch. Everything you touch, you're going to get some sort of message or something. Um, like if maybe the first thing I can think of is like an antique of some sort. If you picked up something that was an antique that belonged to somebody, that may be a trigger. But it can be people and it can be places. So my understanding of this is it's very tricky. And I keep saying that, but I want to be very clear on exactly what it means. All right. So, for example, example. So, for example, if you saw me and you came up and you hugged me, and the hugging of me triggered a message. So, this is where it gets really tricky because if you hugged me and you saw in your mind's eye something happening, that's the clairvoyancy that we talked about. Even though the touching me triggered it, it's still clairvoyancy because you saw it in your mind's eye. If you, so for example, if you saw me fall, so you saw me fall down, that would be clairvoyance. If you actually felt like you were falling, then that would be clairtangency. The touching of it triggered the energy of me falling, not the visual of me falling. I know it's hard to explain it and have it seem like it's making sense. So let's see here, some of the other things I wrote down before I get into too many more examples. Oh, I did write down, because I was talking about how they're known by other names. This one may also be known as, and I'm probably not going to pronounce it right, psycho, it's PSYCHOMETRY, psychometry. Psychometry. I'm sure that's probably not how to say it, but if you get psycho and then metry, metry, metry. So I'm not really sure how it's psychometry. So just before I forget to say that, because I should have said that back at the beginning when we were talking about being known by other names. All right, so back to the notes here. We talked about it being triggered by the touch. For place, because I was kind of curious how place worked. Like, what do you mean if I touch a place? So place would be, a building, a wall. I don't know why, but maybe a sidewalk or the ground. Things like that. So that's what I mean by place. Like, it's not when you walk into a place that doesn't trigger the feeling. So that's a different Claire. But if you actually touch, like if you put your hand on the wall and that triggered a sensation, and again, it's if it triggers something in your mind's eye, a vision, that is clairvoyancy. So let me go through the example I wrote down. So hopefully this will make it super clear, but we'll see. So the example I wrote down is if you pick up an old mirror. Okay, so I have, oh, I don't know, it must be on the next shelf up. Anyway, pick up an old mirror. Pretend I've got an antique mirror here in my hand. If you see in your mind's eye an old woman, that's clairvoyancy. If you pick up the mirror and you know the owner of this mirror was sad, that's claircognizance. If you pick up the mirror and you feel sad, that's clear empathy, and we haven't talked about that yet. So that's in one of the coming ones. If you pick up the mirror and you smell her perfume, that's the clair scent. So even though the mirror is the trigger for all of those things, those themselves are not clairtangency. So it's very difficult to explain it. Um, I'm just trying to see here what I wrote. Right. So basically, if you're holding an object, if you touch an object, person, place, object, and you receive information, and it's more of the energy of the information. So it's kind of weird. It's almost like it would be very similar to clairsentient in the fact that you're just kind of knowing, but again, it's even a little bit more to the next step of that of just knowing. It's the feeling of the energy and knowing. So like I said, if the best example I can think of, like I said, is if you hug me and you see in your mind's eye a vision of me falling down the stairs, right? That's clairvoyancy. If you hug me and you felt like you were falling down the stairs, that would be clairtangency because you felt the energy of me falling. So I don't know how many people have been somewhere and you have that feeling like, oh, I just felt like I was falling down, but you weren't. And that is probably because you touched something that triggered that and you didn't realize that that's what had happened. It's happened to me. Like you're just standing there and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I just felt like I was going to like completely fall down there. Or I felt like I was falling. And it's because, like I said, you probably weren't aware of it, but you probably had touched something. Not to say that you may need to see a physician because maybe you have a little bit of vertigo, but you may have touched something and not realized that that's what triggered it. Because again, this is one of those clairs that is not, excuse me, not very well known by most people. Um, I'm pretty familiar with a lot of the clairs, and I'm not that familiar with this one. I had to do a little digging to kind of feel like I could even attempt to explain it, and I still really don't feel like I'm explaining it as best as I can. But yeah, I don't really know how else to give examples. Um, the falling down is like the easiest one, I guess, to understand. But um, like this is a horrible one, but it just came to my mind. If you happen to pick something up and then all of a sudden you just felt like you were going to be sick, but you weren't. You're like, oh, I just thought I was going to throw up there for a second. I don't know where the hell that came from. Again, it may have been triggered by something you touched and you just weren't aware of that. Because, like I said, people don't know about this one that much, and so it's not that common for people to know it or understand it. Um, Even I've read, I'm a, I've read about it in a book, and I've read about it online, and I've searched it out, and um, there's very, very little information on it out there. It really took me quite a while to even get to be able to write a couple of pages of notes. It took me quite a bit of digging to find. And again, it was even very hard to find. I always give herbs and oils to work with. And it was very hard to find that information as well. So it's not well known. It's not highly talked about. Um, but I think a lot of people have experienced it and don't really understand it. Now, I'm not really sure if you could say like deja vu might be in there as well. Um, like when you've gone somewhere and you just feel like maybe you've been there before. Um, that to me would kind of fit into the clairtangency. Of the just feeling like you've been there before. but I'm not really sure if that would fall in that category. I'm gonna see if I can find any information on that. Let me know what you guys think about that. If you think deja vu of going someplace or touch, it would be the place that would be triggering it, but you would have to have touched like the wall, or I mean, we touch the doors, going in and out of rooms. So it could be something like that the door triggered the feeling. But yeah, that kind of makes me wonder if that, I don't know, that just came to me. So that's what my intuition is telling me. And so is deja vu a form of clairtangency? So my pendulum is giving me a pretty good yes. So take that as you will. So yeah, I mean, I don't have like a ton of to talk about it because, like I said, it was really hard to find information on it. If you have questions, if you experience something and you're not quite sure, let me know. And again, if you've experienced something and you're not really sure and you have a pendulum, you can always go to your pendulum to confirm or deny if that is accurate. If you're not really sure, like I just wasn't really sure, so I asked my pendulum, and my pendulum says yes, that is a form of a clairtangency. So, but that all depends on, like I said, what you read and where you read it, because for every 10 people that will tell you yes, there'll be 10 more people to tell you no. So, again, if it resonates with you, if it seems like that's right, if it feels like that's right, then, go with it. But if you're like, I don't think I agree with that, then that's fine. We don't all have to agree on everything. Side note on that, Facebook is just so loaded right now with uh, people arguing, and it's like you can't even say a simple thing about an opinion on anything without somebody getting on there and bashing you for it. And I just want to say, like, I think we can all have a difference of opinion. And I think the problem comes when we think we have to force our opinion on everybody else. Like, everybody else has to have the same opinion as us. And when we see people who have different opinions from us, there's all these people out there like, oh, you have your own opinion, that's fine. I have mine, you have yours. But then when you post something about an opinion, they are one of the, there's always a million people out there to jump on you about why your opinion is wrong, and that theirs is right. And so it's okay. Basically, where I'm going is with this is looping back around to I will share my information, I will share my knowledge, but I will never force it on you. I will never be like, this is the way, and if you don't like it, then don't watch my videos. um, I believe we all have very different things that come to us in very different ways. I will explain to the best of my knowledge. I will share information to the best of my knowledge. I will tell you that I don't know if I'm necessarily right. I know this is what I've learned and this is what resonates with me. And it may be different for you. And, I see a lot of people on Facebook asking, like, well, is it okay if I do this? Or is it okay if I do that? Or I want to use this stone for this. Is that okay? And if any of you guys have been watching my videos for a while, you'll know my answer is probably always going to be yes. Because if your intuition is to do that, then there's probably a reason for that and you should follow it. And I see so many people on Facebook like, no, you can't use that stone for that, or no, you can't use that way, or this can only be used this way. For a little example is I just, was it 2 weeks ago or last week? I don't even remember. We crafted the athame, And so I had posted some pictures on a couple of different groups that I'm in. And there was a lady on there who's, she said, well, what's anathema? I don't know. So her and I were having a nice little conversation about what they were and what you might want them for. And somebody got in our conversation, which is fine. But she said, this is what anathema is for, and this is only what anathema is for, basically. I mean, she didn't say it quite like that. It was, she typed out a little thing and stuff, but that was basically the gist of it, was that this is what anathema is for, and this is only what anathema is for. And my first thought was like, these are my tools, and I'm pretty sure I can use them however I want. And yes, anathema is typically just placed on an altar, but a lot of people do use their athames to cut herbs during ceremonies. You wouldn't take it into the kitchen to cut up your steak or anything like that, I wouldn't think. But you can, certainly use it however you want. It's yours. And my other thought was like, okay, so I made this athame, and yes, traditionally it is just an altar piece, but I'm pretty sure if I use it for something, my ancestors are not going to disown me and not come to me anymore. They're not going to be like, oh, I am not going there anymore. She used her athame to cut an herb. I'm like, um, really? I don't think that's, exactly how it works. Um, you know, I could be wrong, but that's just my opinion. Like, when you stop and think about some of the things that we say and the things that we do, it's like, really? I don't think that's right. But anyway, back to clairtangency here. I'm having a little tangent, but it's not clairtangency. Um, so, yeah, let me just check my notes here real quick and see if there's anything that I didn't go over. So, this I just wrote, if you feel the energy oh yeah, so that's what I was already saying. If you saw like her fall, um, then it's clairvoyancy. But if you actually felt like the sensation of falling, that would be clairtangency. So we covered that. Oh, one of the things I wanted to talk about is we often, or I do it quite often as well. And like, for example, if I'm picking a perfume or I'm picking a crystal out of my crystal tray, or if I'm buying something, a lot of times I will hover my hand over. I'll like close my eyes and hover my hand over and kind of just let my intuition guide me to pick something. That is not clairtangency because I didn't actually touch the item. Okay, so I do that a lot. Like I will, mostly in the morning when I'm getting ready, I have a whole tray of all the different perfumes that I have made over the last couple of years. And so sometimes I just wake up and I'm like, nope, this is the one I want to wear. This is the one I want to wear. Other times I don't look, but I just pick one. But sometimes I will really feel into it. I will stop, I will close my eyes, and I will hover my hand over the bottles of kind of where I want to stop and reach down and pick one up. But that is not clairtangency. So just so you know that, because you didn't actually touch the perfume. If you touched the perfume and then it triggered something, then that would be, again, depending on what it triggered, it would be one of the different clairs. But if it triggered a sensation, sensation is even a hard word because we have to differentiate sensation from emotion. So again, if you if you hug me and you feel afraid because I'm falling down the stairs, if you feel my fear, that's clear empathy. If you, well, no, sorry. If you feel my fear, that's clear, how do I want to say this? If you feel my fear, it is clear cognizance. But if you become, like you start to feel afraid, then that is clear empathy. And again, we haven't talked about that one yet. But if you feel the actual sensation of me falling down the stairs, that is clairtangency. Morning, Bobby Joe. I don't have my glasses on, so I can't see the screen. I hope you are doing well today. I miss your face. I can't wait till we can hopefully try to get together again soon. Stupid COVID. But yeah, we're talking about clairtangency and how it's a really tricky one to explain because clairtangency, like I said, is a touching of a person, place, or thing that triggers information. But depending on how the information is triggered, it may not actually be clairtangency. So I'm going to go through the example one more time. Me too. I'll go through my example one more time here because we have a few minutes. But like I said, this was a hard one. I had a hard time getting information on it. I had a hard time finding information. So again, the example was if you pick up a mirror and in your mind's eye you see, it is an interesting one. It's kind of confusing and it's kind of making it very hard for me to explain it and feel like I've explained it in a coherent, understandable way. But if you pick up an old mirror and you see in your mind's eye an older woman, then that is clairvoyancy. If you pick up the mirror and you know she is sad, then that is claircognizance. If you pick up the mirror and you feel sad, then that is clear empathy. If you pick up the mirror and you smell her perfume, that is clear scent. So if you pick up the mirror and feel a sensation, which again is hard because it's like, well, what is exactly a sensation? Because again, we have to differentiate it between emotions. So it's not an emotion. So like I said, if you know she's sad or you feel sad, that is not clairtangency. If you feel the sensation of something, so sensation of moving, sensation of falling, sensation of feeling ill, sensation of, I don't know, I don't know why it just popped in my head, but drowning. That's a horrible thought, but so if you feel the sensation, that is clairtangency, to my understanding, the best of my understanding. So I'll go over some of the items, the herbs or the herbs or oils, doesn't matter, and you can mix and match them. There's no rules on here. Calendula is a good one. Frankincense, myrrh, and mugwort are good ones. Now, we talked about last week the different ways you can use your herbs. Now, there is like a bazillion ways you can use your herbs, but some of the basic ones is you can use it as an incense. So you can put it on a charcoal disc and use it in an incense. You can use it in your bath. Herbs or oils, you can, put it in the bathtub. You can work with the oils of the herbs. You can use some of them in teas. And again, I just advise if you're going to use any kind of herb in a tea, do a little research. I mean, we know a lot of the common ones that are in our kitchen cupboards are safe to put on our food, and so they would be safe to make a tea. But if you're, getting some of the odder, not so well-known ones, just check it out and make sure that it's safe to drink. The other thing is you can smoke them. I am, again, I'm not a big fan of the smoking them, but I do know people who do, and not judging or anything. I just choose not to smoke. I don't really like the sensation of them. A lot of them can be very harsh, and so it's just not a pleasant experience. So I prefer to work with the incense, the oils, and occasionally the teas. So the other night before I went to bed, I made myself a nice cup of mugwort tea. So mugwort is one that is safe to make a tea. And yeah, it was a different sensation. I went to bed and I kind of felt like I had the bed spins a little bit, but somebody said I may have used just a tad too much mugwort, so to cut it back a little bit. So some of the stones you can work with is quartz. Quartz is like the number one thing. If you are trying to amplify anything, and literally anything, you would want to use quartz. So if you were trying to amplify clairtangency, you could use some quartz. You could also try some moonstone, some bloodstone, amethyst, blue kyanite, some lapis lazuli, or some herkimer would also work. I wear my herkimer right here, so this ring almost never ever comes off. And I usually have quartz all over the place. So let's see here. Got a couple pieces of blue kyanite here. It's not the camera, it's the light. You see the blue there, that's a good. So some blue kyanite, you could work with that. I always have a couple of pieces of that lying around as well. Bloodstone, I do have amethyst. I have pieces of amethyst all over the house as well. Lapis, I don't like, I reorganized my space and I put my crystal tray up on this shelf, and it's just high enough that I can't see in it. So it doesn't really do me much good. I'm going to have to move that somewhere, I think. But anyway, yeah, those are the herbs and or oils you can work with, and those are the stones you can work with. So yeah, that's pretty much it for today. So I don't necessarily feel like I explained that overly well. So certainly if you have questions, put them in the comments or private message me. If you have more information to share on clairtangency, I would love for anyone to share that with me and for anybody else that is watching the video. And yeah, I'm going to go back to work to my muggle job that's stressing me out like crazy right now, but that's all right. We will get through it at work, and just like anything else, learning something new is stressful and challenging, and we've decided to learn something new during Mercury retrograde. That's like the best time to put a brand new computer software system into your office, right? It's during Mercury retrograde. No. But, it is what it is. So I hope everybody has a really great weekend. And I will see you back on Monday for our weekly forecast. And I don't even know what's planned next week. I'm like so out of whack right now. There's a new class coming up that I really, really want to take. But I think I keep telling myself like my plate is too full. I have other classes that I haven't finished, and that I shouldn't necessarily be taking another class until I finish up these other classes. But then I keep telling myself, well, this class is strictly for this time, and those other classes I can finish up at any time I want. But yeah, I'm kind of overloading myself and not really taking much time off to get caught up on anything. So I'm really trying to talk myself out of taking this class I want to take. But um, that's what happens. I learn about these classes and I want to take all the classes all the time. And I don't always have enough time in the day to do all of them. So, anywho, my problem to figure out. But I love learning new things, so I can come here and share them with you guys. So, like I said, I will see you Monday. Hope everybody has a really great weekend. Remember to do some self-care. If it's possible where you are, get out and do some grounding. I have no idea what the weather is supposed to be like here this weekend. It has been cold, and then we've had a snowstorm, so I don't know what the weather is supposed to be this weekend, but if you can get outside a little bit, that would be great. I will not be standing outside barefoot, that is for sure, but I might try to get out and just be outdoors for a little bit on the weekend. And as always, remember to be kind. Your kindness is not only going to improve your day, it could improve somebody else's day, and it potentially could change someone's life for the better. So yeah, just a very small act of kindness really could end up changing somebody's life. And it doesn't cost us anything. So spread the kindness. See you guys on Monday. Love you. Bye.